The world was engulfed in flames, nations picked their allegiances, the Axis powers aimed for total control. Germany, Italy, Japan, their armies swept across borders. Ordinary people lived in constant fear. Freedom felt like an impossible hope. Against them stood the Allied powers, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and the United States. They fought for liberty and survival. The war spread across continents. Oceans became deadly battlegrounds. Cities crumbled under relentless bombings. Homes turned into rubble. Civilians bore immense suffering. Families were torn apart. Innocence was lost in the smoke and fire. The war machine devoured all in its path. Resources were drained, lives extinguished. It was a total war, touching everyone. Propaganda blared from radios and posters. Young men answered the call to arms. They left their farms and factories. They prepared for an uncertain fate. The world watched, holding its breath. A global struggle for freedom had commenced. History was being written in blood. James was a young man then. He lived a quiet, ordinary life. He worked hard on his family's farm. The distant war seemed like another world. Then the news arrived. His country needed its sons. He knew he had to go. A sense of duty called to him. He enlisted, his heart a mix of emotions. He said his goodbyes to his loved ones. His mother wept silent tears. His father stood tall, proud yet anxious. James promised he would come back home. He boarded a train with other young men. His long journey into the heart of war began. Basic training was demanding. He learned the discipline of the march. He learned to handle a rifle. Slowly he transformed into a soldier. He was no longer just James from the farm. He was part of a vast, determined army. Soon he found himself on a troop ship, crossing the wide, unforgiving ocean. There was no turning back now. The front lines were a vision of hell. Mud, thick and clinging, was everywhere. Smoke choked the air, burning his lungs. The noise of battle was constant, deafening. Explosions violently shook the earth. Hot shrapnel and bullets whizzed dangerously close. Death was an ever-present companion. James felt a deep, chilling fear grip him. He clutched his rifle, his knuckles white. His first experience of real combat arrived. It was a maelstrom of chaos and terror. He saw men fall beside him in battle. The brutal reality of war struck him hard. It was savage, cruel, and unforgiving. He fought with a primal need to stay alive. Every second felt like an eternity, yet his sense of duty burned brightly. He remembered why he had come. He was fighting for freedom. This thought gave him strength. He had a vital job to do. His resolve hardened in the heat of battle. War changed a man, he realized. Amidst the relentless chaos, true courage shone. Soldiers risked their lives for others. They charged into withering enemy fire. Medics raced to save the wounded. Ordinary men performed extraordinary acts. James witnessed these acts of heroism every day. It stirred something deep within his soul. This was the spirit that could win wars. He watched his comrades fight fiercely. They faced impossible odds, yet they never gave up hope. They fought for each other. They became a true band of brothers. Their bond was forged in combat's fire. James found his own hidden courage. He learned to master his terror. He protected his brothers in arms. He fought back with growing skill. He was no longer the scared boy from the farm. He had become a hardened warrior. The war tested him, and he endured. Brief respites between battles were cherished. They reminded them of their shared humanity. Hope flickered even in the darkest times. Slowly the tide began to turn. The Allied powers pushed forward. Victory followed hard-fought battles. The enemy forces started their retreat. A fragile hope flickered across war-torn lands. The end of the nightmare was in sight. The immense sacrifices had not been in vain. Freedom's light began to pierce the darkness. The war at long last came to an end. The Axis powers were defeated. Great cheers of joy erupted around the globe, but the cost of victory was immense. Millions had tragically perished. The world was forever altered. Deep scars remained on the land and hearts. A new era was dawning. James returned home. He was no longer the same young boy. He carried the weight of war in his eyes. He appreciated the gift of peace deeply. He knew the price that had been paid. War teaches harsh lessons. It reveals the worst and best of humanity. Freedom is precious and worth defending.